Left jab fake, left jab block, then there's a beat. Then we come back with a left jab to the body fake, and a left hook to the head. I want to protect my head from this punch.
I said to the fight coordinator, Steve Luchescu, right from the beginning, the choreography is massively important. And somebody has to do the dog's work and actually write out the 5,000, 7,000 moves that will make up the fighting sequences
Next,
of the
right
movie.
hook body with a left jab, head hit, right straight head block. Braddock continues with left hook body hit, right hook body block as Lasky attempts a clinch. Braddock pushes him away, throws left hook head hit. As they separate.
Wait, slow down. Yeah.
That thesis then becomes the thing that we critique, we tear down, and that we improve on.
So you're going great with all your punches, but then you've got to examine what you're receiving, and where if there's a missed punch on the choreography, you've got to show why.
That's good. If you can get it that fast and you stay that low, that looks great, Junior.
But as Angelo said to both Ron and myself very early on, every fight is completely different. You can't ever assume anything about what might happen. You have to evaluate what your opponent is doing then and there, in the moment. It's the unpredictable flurries of violence and the split-second opportunities taken that we want to recreate. Recovering on your feet, counter-punching, action and reaction, real-time contact and that contact's effect. We're bringing a whole lot of guys that are trained for the majority of their lives into a situation and reteaching them that now the thing that they do instinctively, they have to completely control.
The natural instinct is to throw the punch and he throws it. So that's what we got to break you of it. And now once we have a final version that the director likes, that Ron Howard likes, now we bring it back and now we're going over with Russell. So now we'll go through each one and he gets in and now he adapts it to his fighting style.
And then I feint, boom, 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 boom. But that's the glancing blow, so that takes the elbow. Right to the head. Boom.
My
Uppercut. Shoulder. Junior? Hello?
Yeah, he's thinking.
He gets that deer in the headlight look every once in a while.
Man, I get scared.
Ron's frameworks are very ambitious. Through the course of the process, we'll probably end up replacing or changing or expanding 90% of the original 5,000 to 7,000 move thesis.
It's looking good. A lot of work to do, but...
Yeah.
I think the intensity certainly was picking up. It was in this ring that Russell did throw a left hook and his shoulder popped out. It was just incredible, you know.
The surgery took about 2¼ hours, which is longer than I normally take for this sort of procedure. The problem that we have now is that he has torn off some bone as well as his ligaments, making the injury more significant than we realised. And because of the bony fragment, we have gone ahead to do a reconstruction of the anterior labrum via the scope. And it also is a procedure that normally requires a bit more protection after the surgery. However, the aim here was to get Russell back to immediate activity, and so we're going to pursue that, bearing in mind that there is an element of risk involved because of the repair. One of the problems that we found was that he had damage to the cartilage of the joint, and this didn't show up on the scan and often doesn't, but he has damaged the cartilage, which will have some repercussions for later in life. I would suspect that Russell will be a little disappointed that we had to do more than we originally planned, and this may have some repercussions on his recovery time. For that reason, I've asked for the involvement of a physiotherapist that's been involved with some of our previous projects.
Well, for what he's had, I believe it was an anterior dislocation from throwing a left hook that was deflected, with all the trauma that's associated with it. Usually after arthroscopy, standard treatment is really in a sling, resting 4 to 6 weeks. Then you start some mobilisation. You might start a little bit earlier than that. So you're really looking down the track anywhere from 3 months to 6 months. So what we're trying to do is really, it's unconventional. So no guarantees.
Film is a complicated and elusive medium. A film is like a train. You can't get off until you get to the station. Regardless of your preparation, a film doesn't actually start until you're on the set. And as they say, the caterers are cooking. At the same time that there's a lot of pressure and expectation, there's also none. Shoulder surgery on the run is not a contractual obligation. If I could pull out tomorrow, and everybody, the studio included, I think would be okay with it and understand it. Here's the reality of me feeling an $80 million sword of Damocles hanging over my head, and a responsibility and a situation where there's absolutely no option to fail. It's just, that's not available.
That's what I need to get into. Some of the superior ones. Just differentiating whether it's deep in or that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's certainly noticeable.
You like that?
No.
That's worse.
Obviously, we'll keep going and all that sort of stuff, but I just don't think I should be getting on the plane in a position where physically we're setting ourselves up to re-injure.
To be honest, at the moment, I haven't seen you this negative for a long time.
Yeah, well, it's
and
bugging me.
and you are very negative about where you are, and I can't make it right for you on the day today. I can't say to you, it's okay, it'll be right. You can do that.
Yeah. If I could have a couple more weeks once we start, they're counting starting physio as starting training. And it's like, no, that's not right.
There's no doubt there's a pressure on everyone here, Russell, but you've got to remember that we are doing a program that people do normally 6 weeks after the surgery, not 1 week after the surgery. And by accelerating it doesn't mean that therefore the body's finished its healing earlier. It means that you are bypassing some of the healing processes to allow it to do what you have to do. We've got to work out a time frame that you can give the movie company to say, okay, it will not be right until this time. And that's not an answer that we can just pluck out of the air.
No, it's not.
But it's one that you're going to have to work on because they want that plucked out of the air.
We just need a little bit more time, and it's not a lot more time, but it's got to be. And I can put a date on for it, but I'm really worried about doing that to you a second time because I was the guy that said, yeah, I'll be able to do that. We get to the point where, all right, look, you've got 90% range of motion on your shoulder, you'll be fine. It's not a movie about a librarian. It's a movie about a boxer, and the only way that you and I should be making this movie together is if, I'm doing it all. We don't want to be in a situation where you're actually using body doubles and all this because for one, it's going to take longer to shoot, and two, it's not going to be the same film.
Whether he could literally survive the injury and be able to do the work, I wasn't so sure, but I suspected that he could. And I knew he'd do the therapy. I knew he wouldn't slack off on any of that. Once I heard that there was a possibility that he could heal, I knew he would.
That was about the period of time where I thought he's a type A personality. You've got to put the harness on him, hold him back.
We're almost there. We're still going. We're strong.
Whew.
Worth every bit of pain. Unbelievable.
I thought he's going to be just taking off, which he did. Didn't have to push him, he just drove himself all the time. The real problem lied in trying to hold him back. His work ethic you couldn't question, so it was more a case of keeping extremely close tabs on him and trying to explain to him at certain times that you might just be pushing it a bit too hard. Hold back because we can do more work tomorrow, and then the next day and the next day. But if we do too much now, something might happen and it might upset the whole scheme of things. There is a high degree of risk of redislocation.
Yeah, your shoulder has a timetable that may not be the same as yours. And you can push it to a degree, but you can only push it to a degree.
We are pushing.
I think Russell could have been a fighter with the way he works.